Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Firefighters podcast, where we seek to develop, inspire, and motivate the world of the emergency services operator through a series of wide-ranging conversations. Now, before we go any further, just hit that rate, follow, or subscribe button on whatever platform you're listening to. It's a key performance indicator for us and helps us reach even more people. Now, here's what we've got for you today. Today on the podcast, we're jumping back in with another incident debrief, and we're looking at an incident that hopefully encourages even more of you to keep thinking about what actually kills most people in buildings. Because today's incident wasn't a particularly large fire. It was contained, the fire itself, but with uncontained consequences. This is January 2022, the Twin Parks high-rise fire in the Bronx, New York. 17 lives were lost. From the reports, every single one of them was due to smoke inhalation. Let's start with the building itself, because that's where the story really begins. This was a 19-story residential high-rise built in 1972 with around 120 apartments. Unlike many older residential high-rises in New York City, there were no sprinklers installed. So the building relied primarily on one thing to keep people safe: compartmentation. In simple terms, if the fire starts in one compartment, it stays in that compartment. Smoke stays in the compartment and protected routes maintain tenable. But for that to work, doors must automatically close and latch after someone passes through. That's not a nice to have, that's a system working as it's designed. On January 9th, compartmentation broke down in at least 3 places. The door to the apartment, the one that's actually of the fire origin, that stayed open. Both doors to the 3rd floor stairwells for lengthy periods of time, and also doors to stairwells in at least 2 higher floors were malfunctioning, allowing smoke to permeate the building, and stairwells acting as chimneys. The fire itself started in apartment 3N, and the fire was sparked by an electrical space heater in the bedroom on the lower level. This was a duplex apartment where a mattress also in the bedroom then caught on fire, and smoke filled the lower level of that apartment. And at this point, we've got a routine compartment fire. And like I said, that's where you really got to slow down and listen, because this is the moment everything changed. Compartmentation didn't fail once, it failed multiple times. The smoke quickly traveled to the apartment's upper level. Residents described hearing fire alarms sometime before 11 a.m., but they did not take them seriously. Given the history of false alarms in the building, there's an alarm that always goes off in our building, people said. Desiree Mello, for example, on the 6th floor resident, said to us, that's normal. As the Wade family who were in the compartment fled, the door never closed properly, creating the initial opening for smoke to enter the 3rd floor hallway. The door to apartment 3M, like most doors in the building, have relied upon a simple mechanism to closing automatically in case of a fire. Spring-loaded hinges at the latch, you've probably seen them. Interviews with the residents and complaints lodged with the city indicate that before the fire, doors routinely malfunctioned. James Yoles, a spokesman for the building's ownership group, said it had no knowledge of self-closing door issues prior to the fire. Where have we heard that before? Once this door had failed to close, smoke enters the stairwell. The building changes behavior completely. The stairwell effectively becomes a vertical chimney. Smoke doesn't spread slowly, it moves rapidly, upwards, through the building, reaching floors far removed from the fire itself. As we said, alarm activates shortly after ignition, but responses from occupants is mixed. Previous false alarms have reduced urgency. Some residents stayed put, some evacuated, some opened doors. FDNY arrived in around 4 minutes. Fantastic turnout time, but the time crews arrive, this is no longer just an apartment fire. Smoke's already moving through the building. We're working in collaboration with the Blue Light Show, a national conference and exhibition built around one thing: blue light services do better together than apart. I'm going to be there 1st and 2nd of July 2026 at the event, getting involved with those conversations and connecting with people who really care about doing the job better across the blue light sector. I'll see you there. Prior to their attendance, calls were made from 4 other apartments on the 3rd floor, all reporting smoke. One of them came from resident in apartment 3N who cried, "Fire is in the bedroom." Down the hall from the fire, a resident in apartment 3E told 911 dispatchers that she couldn't see outside her apartment door. Looking at the second compartmentation failure was where smoke had infiltrated the building's 2 stairwells. And if you lose the apartment door, you lose the floor. But losing the entire stairwell, you could lose the building, said Professor Simeone from Worcester Polytechnic. Housed in a single central core, stairwell A and stairwell B were physically separated by a wall, with access only to certain floors. Residents said the door to stairwell B on the third floor often malfunctioned. That morning, it remained open for long stretches of time, along with stairwell A. When the FDNY firefighters arrived shortly before 11 a.m., they left the door open to stairwell B and designated it as the attack stairwell, standard operating procedure. The move allowed them to run hose to put out the fire. A city official said that the door had been opened before the firefighters arrived and had not closed properly, simply burping or swinging partially open and closed as large amounts of smoke escaped. In the building itself, we've said that the stairwell serve alternate floors. These are known as scissor stairs, and they're legal under the New York City Building Code in residential buildings, but fire safety experts have criticized them. Despite being the sole means of escape, they're not directly accessible from some floors. The reason why scissor stairs don't work is you're making the assumption that if you access from two sides, there are two means of egress, Professor Torero said. It relies fully on the fact that the shaft is fully protected from smoke. In a way, you've created a single failure point. Reports revealed narrow stairwells with little to no ventilation, with no pressurization or smoke extraction systems on the roof. Most fatalities were found on upper floors, around the 15th floor and above. Not near the fire, not near the flames, but in areas filled with smoke. All 17 fatalities went down to smoke inhalation. Video captured by the witnesses in the morning shows thick smoke gushing out of the 15th floor, confirming that compartmentation failed on the top floors. From FDNY's perspective, over 200 firefighters attended and more than 100 rescues were made. At one point, 32 patients were reported as being cardiac arrest or critical condition, and this rapidly became a mass casualty incident inside a high-rise building. The Twin Parks fire is one of the worst in New York City history. Deadly combination of a space heater, fire, and open doors on multiple floors that allowed smoke to spread through the building. The investigation centered around self-closing doors. City officials said that when residents fled, the 3-end apartment door remained stuck open, possibly from an extra layer of flooding. Let's slow down, go back and unpack some of what's going on inside this building so the firefighters of all levels of experience can really understand these observations and what the physics is doing inside the building. So again, the building was designed around a very simple principle: contain the fire, contain the smoke, and protect the means of escape. But that system's only as strong as the weakest component. In this case, it was a structural failure. It wasn't fire spread through the walls or the floors. It was a systems failure. Doors not closing, doors not latching, doors not maintaining separation. And once that happens, there's no longer compartmentation. You effectively have one connected volume of air. Once that air starts moving, so does the smoke.
I have been wearing Gore-Tex for nearly 2 decades on the front line, working in hostile environments, tackling challenging incidents from firefighting to water incidents and in urban search and rescue environments. Gore-Tex have a well-earned reputation for protecting professionals in the fire and emergency services through their family of highly innovative, waterproof, breathable moisture barriers that exceeds global performance standards and are trusted worldwide. Gore-Tex, going further together.
Self-closing doors are a critical life safety feature. It's easy to overlook them, because on most days they feel like a nuisance. We'll often prop them open, but in buildings like this, they're doing a job of a firefighter before they even arrive. They're holding back the smoke, they're maintaining tenable conditions, they're protecting escape routes, but when they fail, we inherit a building that's already losing control. From an operational perspective, crews should actively be thinking about things like, is the fire compartment door open or closed? Are corridor doors holding? Are the stairs and the doors that go into them closing behind movement? Because every open door isn't just access, it's a flow path opportunity. When we talk about stairwells and the chimney effect, this is where it gets critical for firefighters to understand them, because it's a pure fire behavior principle inside the building system. Once smoke enters the stairwell, you've created effectively a vertical flow path. Because hot gases rise, as we know, pressure differences develop, and the stairwell effectively becomes a chimney. And here's what that means in simple terms. The fire is generating heat and smoke at a lower level. That creates buoyancy. The hot gases want to rise, and if there's a clear path, like an open stairwell, then they'll move rapidly upwards. Because stairwells are enclosed vertical shafts, they actually accelerate that movement. So instead of smoke spreading slowly 4 by 4, it can move multiple floors in a very short space of time. Now layer that onto doors open at upper levels, residents moving around trying to escape, pressure changes from potentially wind or temperature, and you get smoke being pulled, pushed, and distributed throughout the building, not by the fire itself, but by the building. Now contrast that with pressurized staircases, which we sometimes predominantly find, in the UK. Pressurized system introduces clean air into the stairs enclosure. At higher pressure than hopefully the surrounding areas, it means that when doors open, air flows out of the stairwell, not into it. So smoke is resisted from entering the stairwell, even if doors are opened. Even if there's movement, and even if the fire is generating significant smoke, that system should maintain a tenable escape route. In Twin Parks, that protection didn't exist. So once the stairwell was compromised, there's nothing to stop smoke filling it. And once that happens, the primary escape route becomes the most dangerous space in the building, really. I wanted to pick this incident because it's recent, and it's a textbook example that the fire remained largely contained, but the smoke didn't. And smoke is what killed people, and still what kills people today. From a firefighting perspective, that should shift how we're thinking and reading these incidents.
It is beyond a privilege to be able to bring the Firefighters podcast to you, and we are so grateful for every single person that supports, listens, shares, and follows our journey. And to help us keep doing it, create more, reach more guests internationally, and make the podcast sustainable, we're asking for you to help. And to do this, we've set up a Patreon page. By joining our Patreon community, you will get access to every single full episode archive we have ever made. Now, hundreds and hundreds of key documents that we've got in there on fire behavior, firefighter health, cancer risks, incident debriefs, and so much more. So if you feel like you want to join the Patreon crew and help us make this possible, head to patreon.com/TFFPC or check the link in any episode podcast notes.
We should seek fire. That's what we're there to do. We're there to fight the fire. But if you're seeing light fire conditions but heavy smoke movement and reports of casualties remote from the fire floor, then your problem is no longer just suppression. It's a building-wide life hazard from smoke. And that requires a different mindset. This should make us think about operational interventions and influence in smoke movement, because this is where we come into things like us arriving and not just hopefully reacting. We can influence conditions. And a key consideration is around door control, anti-ventilation, closing the fire compartment door itself, controlling doors to stairwells. We've got smoke curtains, smoke cloaks to help us manage openings during this movement. This alone can significantly slow smoke spread or stop it. And also have some more consideration around flow path awareness, understanding that every opening creates a pathway for smoke movement between high pressure and low pressure areas. So before forcing doors or ventilating, ask yourself, what am I connecting and where will that smoke go? Ventilation can definitely improve conditions, and we're seeing a lot of services and organizations and brigades move more towards ventilation techniques. But if done without coordination, it can increase flow, drawing smoke through the building. So ventilation needs to be timed, coordinated, and aligned with effective suppression. And if the stairwell is becoming compromised, you should be thinking about limiting those door openings, especially if it's not pressurized. Got to control those access points, identifying alternative routes if available. Because once that route is lost, evacuation becomes significantly more dangerous. The behavior of the occupants has a massive impact on this as well, because these occupants aren't a passive factor. They can actively shape the incidents. In this case, there was a delayed response to alarms, which you can expect really in a lot of high-rise buildings. Doors were being opened, there was movement into stairwells, and all contributed to the spread of smoke exposure. From a firefighter perspective, that reinforces the importance for us of clear messaging to the occupants, understanding the likely human behavior and anticipating movement patterns within the buildings. So the case study finishes with a series of questions, and I think these are worth hearing properly. There's really thinking tools around the watch table. Because they're not theoretical, they're operational. Are you prepared in your service, in your organization, in your brigade for large residential losses? Are you prepared for an incident involving a large number of residents in a high-rise building? Do you have the resources and the systems in place to manage a significant number of casualties simultaneously? Is your fire control aligned to the latest fire survival guidance? I'm pretty sure they are. But do you, as an operational firefighter or incident commander, know how to interact with that? Are your crews themselves trained to recognize and respond to large-scale smoke spread beyond the fire compartment itself? Do they understand the physics of the building? When the last time you had a conversation about the chimney effect? How effectively can your organization coordinate rescue, suppression, and a medical response at the same time? And how confident are you that the buildings in your area, in your patch, around your station will perform as designed under these fire conditions. Because this is a really standard incident where it wasn't really defined by the size of the fire, it was defined by the movement of the smoke and the failure of the systems designed to contain it. It highlights the importance of understanding buildings, not just fires. Because we like talking about fire. We like talking about firefighting techniques, about the physics, but it's not just about the fires. Buildings are part of the incident as well. And when they don't perform as expected, conditions change faster than we can react, and outcomes are decided perhaps even long before we get control of the fire. This incident wasn't a fire problem. It was a smoke problem inside a building that had stopped protecting the people that lived there. That was the Twin Parks fire in the Bronx in New York, 2022. I'll see you next time.
Well, that's it for today, folks. Hope you took a lot away from that episode. We started the Firefighters podcast to develop, inspire, connect, motivate, represent, and most importantly, celebrate the world of incredible emergency services operators and the wider sector through this series of wide-ranging conversations. We really love creating this podcast and bringing it to so many people. Did you know you can also find these on YouTube? We do a lot of video podcasts now. You can head over to our YouTube page and follow, subscribe there. And as a final ask from us, whatever platform you're on, please rate the podcast. It really helps us as a key performance indicator to reach more and more people. I've been your host, Pete Wakefield. This has been the Firefighters podcast. And wherever you are in the world, please stay safe, be happy, and where possible, please remember and support your firefighters and first responders. I'll see you next time.